Morning. I hope everyone is doing well. As you can tell, I'm in my running gear again, so that means only one thing. It is time for another fitness fragrance review. And what one am I doing today? Well, again, it's another fragrance I've mentioned in plenty of videos, done comparison videos. I've touched on its price and stuff in the past, but I've never given it its own attention. I've never given it its own personal review. And it's this one. It's Acqua de Parma Colonia Pura. Got a lot of memories with this one. I wore this one on training courses. My brother bought it for me years ago. It was probably the first real expensive fragrance I ever owned. Acqua de Parma, pretty well known within the fragrance community anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, this is one of the flanks of the original Colonia. The original Colonia came out in 1916. Colonia Pura, obviously a much more modern fragrance, and they've got plenty of flanks in this line. They've had Colonia Club, Colonia Intensa, see this one, Essenza. There's plenty in that line, and yeah, this one today is getting its review. So what I'm going to quickly do, if you haven't seen this before, essentially I do a morning workout. So I go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while wearing the fragrance. And I'll rank this fragrance essentially on 5 categories. So it's price/value for money, it's versatility, projection, where we'll do a room spray test after my run and see how much we notice it during my run. Compliment factor, so do I think it will get compliments, how I had compliments on it, and also its longevity, and we'll spray it on my arm, and then 3 hours after my gym workout I'll have a shower and see if I can still smell it on my arm after. So yeah, what I'm going to quickly do though, I'm going to go through the note breakdown now and explain everything that's in this fragrance. What can we detect from the notes that are mentioned? Okay, yeah, so the Acqua de Parma Colonia line, you'd probably think, oh, it's a bit of like a boring citrus line. And to be honest, I think Acqua de Parma is brilliant for their citrus fragrance. And this is a citrus fragrance, but the note breakdown is a little bit more extensive than I expected. So if we have a little look, the top notes here are bergamot, bright citrus sparkle. You definitely get this. I get, again, an icy freshness with this. There's definitely this icy lemon sort of smell to it. It's not like a really sweet candied lemon or anything like that. And it's definitely not really strong on the orange, which is why it surprised me that orange is the second note in this. Juicy, sweet citrus. I don't really get that juiciness. For me, it's definitely more like that icy lemon type smell that I get. And I think that's coming a little bit from the petitgrain. There's definitely that bitterness, which I think makes this lean a little bit more masculine personally. Obviously, we'll talk about versatility later. But I definitely think there's this kind of peppery spiciness. And I wonder if that's coming a little bit from that petitgrain. And then ozonic notes, airy, watery freshness. 100%. I think that tones down that real zest, that real sharpness from that iciness that I'm getting, that real zest, and I think that's from the bergamot. Heart notes, coriander, slightly spicy, aromaticness. So I think that spice sort of drips down from the petitgrain into the heart here with the coriander. I love coriander in food and all sorts of things. A really nice perfume note. Jasmine, yeah, again, creamy sweetness. Again, that maybe just tones it down to make it that little bit more feminine. Jasmine, very popular in female fragrances, so that's in there. And then Narcissus Absolute, waxy white flower, mineral green undertone. Bit of that white floral. I do detect a bit of white floral from this. I wondered if neroli's in it, but there is no neroli in it. Base notes, cedarwood, clean woody backbone. Again, just tones everything down. Woods are very good at just binding all the notes together and just smoothing around the edges. And I think that's what the cedarwood's doing. Great note in plenty of fragrances. You'll see it in a lot of dry downs. Patchouli, earthly, slightly sweet depth. Don't really get that with this fragrance. I don't get it. I find patchouli's got a dark fragrance note. Tends to be a lot of dark fragrances. Don't really get any darkness from this. But I think musk is really important here. Soft skin, like clean finish. A little bit of that clean washing sort of smell. And I definitely detect that. I can imagine like you're washing out on the line, blowing through your window. Very pleasant, very nice. And yeah, just makes you feel a little bit like summer. It's got that sort of summer vibe to it. So yeah, that is the whole note breakdown. Quite extensive there. Can detect quite a lot. Again, very well blended, very well rounded, and yeah, looking forward to wearing it on my run today. So what I'm going to do the first 2 categories on my run. So price/value for money, and also its versatility. So yeah, going to get my stretching all done, and then we'll head out there. So yeah, let's go. Oh, the thing I love most about these fitness fragrance reviews in the morning is it starts so dark at the moment. By the time I finish, it looks really bright because it's nearly lunchtime. It makes it look like I've been out for much longer than I actually have been. But yeah, price/value for money. So do I think it's good value for money to buy this fragrance? Well, if we look at the prices, there's 3 different sort of prices you can get for this. So you can get 50ml, 100ml, 180ml. 180ml, you're talking about £115. 100ml just under 70, sort of 68, and then that 50ml kind of like 55, 60. So do I think that's good value for money? Well, yes I do. And look, citrus scents can be quite linear, quite boring. I'm not saying this one overly changes a lot. You know, when you compare like sweet caramel, boozy fragrances, winter fragrances tend to do a lot more. You get a lot more out of them. But with this one, you do get absolutely, like, you notice the quality, and that extends to no-brainer, and you definitely get the spiciness. You get that icy citrus, but you also get that nice musk which tones it all down with the woods at the end. And you can just smell, like I said, if I was blindfolded, I'd be saying £85, £90 just purely on its quality. Whether you like some of the Acqua Parma scents or not, you do notice the quality. One thing I've always noticed with them is I've never thought, wow, they smell synthetic or anything like that. They always smell like a really, really high quality type of fragrance, and for that reason I think it's a good price. And also the fact that if you're buying 100ml of a Bleu de Chanel or 100ml of Dior Sauvage, 100ml of pack around 1 million, you're going to be spending around that £60-70 as well. And this is a step up in quality for them. Some of them can be quite synthetic, and the reason they sell them for those prices is one, because of their popularity, and that's the brand recognition. Look, people like having the same haircuts as each other, and people like the smells that get the compliments, and everyone wears them for those reasons. But if you want to stand out for the same price and have a fragrance which in my opinion is a step up in terms of smell and quality, you know, absolute best citrus fragrance of Acqua Parma, then this does that job very well. So for that reason I'm going to give this 9.5 out of 10. I think it's brilliant fragrance. The only reason I put it down 0.5 is I think Acqua Parma have got some amazing lines in their concentrate line. Sandalo, if you like leather, they're leather one, and you can pay a similar price for them, and they just add a bit more complexity for a similar price. So that's the only reason. But 9.5 out of 10, it's great value for money for a brand that I think makes you stand out above the rest. So yeah, on to versatility. On to versatility. How much can you dress this one up, dress this one down? Different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, all Acqua Parma fragrances, I need to mention this, I think are pretty much unisex. I think they literally market them all as suitable for men and women, and I don't think this one is any different. I really don't. However, if I had to say who I think this is most suitable, I'm being super stereotypical here, I can imagine a young male, mid-30s, early 40s, sort of pulling this one off best. And I do think, just for me personally, it's slightly more masculine. I get this black pepper vibe, and I do think it's just from that coriander, the petitgrain, and maybe those woods all working in harmony to give me that sort of vibe. But it's got that sophistication and seriousness about it, which I just don't know if a younger person would appreciate again, and certainly not entry level, and not for the price, because it is a step up in quality. And I just see it as a little bit more serious in that sense. So I can imagine it being that sort of young adult who's almost now settled down with someone, got a child, got a better job, doesn't want to have those cheap juvenile scents and go on a night out or anything. He wants a scent that's going to represent his newfound responsibility in life, and I think this one really paints that picture perfectly. I think it's a real signature scent type fragrance, and I think it's going to work in those situations, whether you're in the office dressing up or whether you just want to wear it casually. It's got the sort of notes in it that are very recognisable, orange, jasmine, coriander, all these notes are in male and female fragrances, and it's just got the classiness that you can dress it up and dress it down, and that obviously means it's super versatile. Do I think it's suitable for the gym? Look, I think it's a little bit too good for that. Do I think it's suitable for a run? Again, it's too good for that. But on a cold day like today, do you know what? That icy citrus is very pleasant. It's very nice, and I'm more than happy to be wearing it. So I'm going to give versatility 9.5 out of 10. Only really being super critical, marking it down here, but I think a younger person might just find this a little bit too serious, a bit sophisticated based on its quality. If you're more used to those sweeter vibes, slightly more synthetic ones, this is very much a step up, and not something they maybe associate with someone of their age. Then I think an older gentleman, older woman, if you're used to the original Colonia, you might just think this one's just a little bit too soft, being a flanker. The musk and the ozonic notes have certainly made this a softer, lighter version of the original, and I don't think it's different enough for you to go, yeah, I'd like that alongside the original. I don't think it changes the mould too much And if you really like that original, I just can't imagine you go and change too much into this one. But look, it's a super scent. Certainly wear it in many different occasions, and I'm enjoying it this morning. So good. My hands, I can feel them again. So projection during my run. How much did I notice Acqua, Parma, Colonia, Pura during my run? Quite a few times actually. There's a kissing gate, I've mentioned this before, during my sort of halfway point of the run, I'd say. I noticed it on both occasions when I came out and back, that, you know, when I stopped, I could really smell the fragrance. When I went to the toilet as well, again, stopping worked pretty well today. I also noticed it almost maybe subconsciously. There was a lady coming with a dog towards me, and I thought, I just literally finished the bit where I was talking about versatility, and I thought, I wonder if she will notice my fragrance. I couldn't smell it at the time, but then I kind of reached for it a little bit with my nose, only sort of bent down like this, and I could smell it. And it almost made me realise that actually maybe this fragrance, because you're sort of immersed in it for so long, maybe it's actually stronger than you realise. It almost takes someone else to notice it, you know, so then actually you can appreciate its projection. But yeah, it did project pretty well. I don't know how well it's going to do on this room spray test. Again, we said this before, it hasn't got those vanillic notes, those sticky, sweet, wintry notes that normally last a bit longer in a room. But it is nice, that icy citrus, the quality of this. I'm expecting it maybe to do a little bit better than the Rancia di Capri did. Let's say that. The woods, the coriander, that bit of spicy pepperiness might just do all right. So yeah, really interested. I'll finish this, we'll head upstairs, and then we'll give a score on projection. Okay, then it's time to head upstairs and see how much I can notice the fragrance. Oh, I'm struggling today. Those last few miles running, they hurt. Can I smell it at the top of the stairs? No, can't smell it at all at the minute. So I think it smells a bit smoky up here. You probably hear some banging going on. It's people doing work next door. Yeah, again, look. Let's just walk over here a bit. Yeah, this hasn't filled the room at all. To be honest, it's not a lot better than a Rancia di Capri. It's a little bit better. It is there. It's definitely there. It's probably, though, 25% as strong. You know, after about 10 minutes, I don't think this is going to fill a room. I don't think this is one of those fragrances that does fill a room. I think it's, again, if someone's sitting next to you in an office, they'll notice it, they'll pick it up, and that's what it's for. I don't think if you walk past someone, it's going to be really strong. And again, I'm just looking at the bottle itself. It is an eau de cologne again. It's not probably expected to be a super strong fragrance, you know, and that's fine. Not all fragrances have to be. And again, always said this at the time, I'd rather the fact if it means that they have to keep it natural and not last long, I'd rather that than make it smell stronger and then become synthetic, because they smell super, super high quality. So it is what it is. I gave a Rancia di Capri a 3 out of 10. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10. I think I noticed it a little bit more during my run, and it has just stuck in the room that little bit more. So 4 out of 10. Yeah, they're not super strong performers in that sense, but look, they smell great, and I think it's going to do better in longevity. I think it will do fine in that, so we'll see later on. But of course, time to head to the gym now. We'll talk about compliment factor next. So have I had any compliments with this fragrance, and do I think it's a compliment getting one? So yeah, time to head out, and then we'll get onto that category. Compliment factor. Do I think this fragrance is a compliment getting fragrance? Well, from my experience, I remember a lady I used to work with called Carolyn. She always used to sort of mention my fragrances. I remember she did give me a compliment on this one, and it was just, oh, you smell nice today. And that was it. You know, it wasn't anything too much. But my mum's always loved this one. It's almost been like her all-time favourite fragrance I've had. Really, like, says how much she loves it. And she doesn't always mention them as well, because obviously I get her to smell so many, and my brother likes to mention it as well, but he's never bought it himself personally, and neither has my mum. So, you know, I think they like it, but they don't see it as that sort of fragrance. It's not a compliment getter. I think it's just one of them you'd have as a signature scent. I don't think you'd buy it for anything in particular, other than for me, wearing it in an office type role. I certainly wouldn't think of it as a night out scent, or something I'd want to cozy up to on a cold day. You know, it hasn't got that sweetness, it's just got that real sophistication, that class. Somebody who feels like they're quite, yeah, they value their smell, and just dressing well, and just being all round sort of trying to be an expensive, classy person who looks after themselves. If you're looking for that sort of genre, that sort of thing, then great, and that will get compliments. It's got the versatility to wear in many situations. Doesn't really have that performance though either to make it a really strong scent that people are going to notice in the crowd, and as we saw with projection, it doesn't really project that much. So I think Rancid D Capri is a little bit more of a wearable one, which I actually wore the other day. I think that's a much safer, lighter, more approachable citrus fragrance from Acqua di Parma. So for this one, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a very nice scent, and it will get compliments because it smells really nice, but those really big compliments that maybe some people are looking for, I don't think you'll get it. I don't think it'll leave a lasting impression like some of those sweeter, more vanillic notes. But of course, if we get it in the gym today, we'll bump it up to a 10. So workout done, no compliments. I am wearing long sleeves today, but it's really pleasant. The musk, the sort of sweetness has come through. It smells like very much a sweetness, which is weird because I just assume it's the musk and that sort of ozonic notes, but it's really tamed that sort of orange and the bergamot and the coriander down. It's much more pleasant now, and it feels more suitable to the gym. It's definitely still serious, sophisticated, a little bit too classy, I think, really for this environment, but I enjoyed it very much, especially that icy feel with this cold weather. But of course, it's now about longevity. How will this survive the shower? I think it's going to do alright. I think it's going to do better than a Rancid D Capri. So yeah, time for a shower, wash it off, and then on the way back we'll talk and give a score on longevity. So it's bang on midday and it's time to smell my arms, see how the fragrance has survived the shower test. Do you know what? Actually, a lot better than I thought. And what I'm getting now is I'm definitely getting that sort of clean, musky smell. But I'm getting a lot of those green sort of herbal notes now, which I'm really surprised. Definitely this greenness, almost a bit like Colonia Club, which is in that line. And it's, I don't know if it's the petitgrain, I don't know if it's that narcissus, which is giving it that vibe. There's definitely more of a green, sort of clean washing smell now, rather than like a zesty, peppery, spicy sort of citrus. It's become much more soft and very, very pleasant. Very pleasant, and I actually don't think you need to reapply this. I thought this was going to be one I was going to say you definitely want to reapply this in the day, but on a day like today where it's a little bit chilly, it's fine. I'm really surprised considering all the workouts I've done, had a shower. It's certainly held on better than the Rancid D Capri did in the Blue Mediterranean line, and this is, yeah, I'm not going to need to reapply that. That's going to last me 9 till 5. That is absolutely fine. So pleasantly surprised with that, and I'm just surprised at how much it's changed. Definitely doesn't feel like it's got that citrus vibe in the same way anymore, and I'm probably say I'm enjoying it more than I did earlier on. So yeah, very happy with that. Now, how do I give this as a score? I don't think anyone would overly notice it now. I think you're going to just notice it on yourself. But oh, it does smell good. See, I can't stop smelling my arm now. I'm going to give this, I'm actually going to give it a 9. I'm really pleasantly surprised. I reckon it's about 65% as strong as it was. I almost feel though like I'd almost want an extra note in this, whether it's a bit of mint or a bit of pine, an extra green note in this. And I think that would just round this fragrance off a little bit more and give it even more staying power, and maybe help improve that projection that feels like it's lacking a little bit. But yeah, really nice. Time to head back, and then it's time to count up all the scores and give my overall thoughts. Do I think this fragrance is worth buying? We are back. So how many steps have I done today? Quite a lot. So I have done 38,868 while doing all my workout this morning and reviewing Acqua di Parma Colonia Pura. So what was the total score in the end? What did this fragrance get out of 50? 39 out of 50. So again, it's a very, very decent score. But where did it get marked down? To be honest, the main thing really was its projection today. It didn't project in the room spray test. Didn't overly notice it at the gym. I noticed it a little bit running. But yes, it's not that fragrance. Look, it's an eau de cologne. It's very much in that Acqua di Parma vibe. They do a lot of eau de colognes in that Colonia line. That's pretty much what it is. But yeah, it just didn't quite do it for me. And I also put it down a little bit on its compliment factor today. And I kind of look at it like this. It's modernised the original Colonia. The original Colonia is definitely not as airy and bright and ozonic as this one. This one is a little bit more youthful, let's say, but obviously it has that maturity about it because of the quality of the fragrance. And I asked myself the question that I think it's great value for money, but it's not that cheap still, is it? Let's be honest, it's not that cheap. And if I had Acqua di Parma Colonia, just the original, would I think, well, I need to buy this as well at the same time? I probably wouldn't. I'd probably almost rotate them in my collection. Maybe buy one, finish it, then buy the other one. And I don't know if it's done quite enough for me to kind of make it stand out in its own mind. And maybe that's just in my fault, is I know it's a flanker of the original. And it's very nice. I say it's super pleasant, but it doesn't quite wow me to that level where I think I can't go about it. Whereas Colonia Essenza, which is in this line as well, and even Colonia Club, which is more of a minty one, which I don't necessarily say I prefer the smell compared to this, just does a little bit more. It just deviates a little bit further away. I don't know if this one deviates away from the original enough to make it really worth buying. But obviously I haven't got the original at the moment, and I really do like how this one smells. It's probably more suited to someone who's a little bit younger, rather than the older people who might have worn Colonia when they were, growing up or in their sort of 40s, 50s. So that's just my opinion on it anyway. It's a great fragrance. There's nothing wrong with having both. I just think it would make the other one redundant, essentially, in that it's got a great score today. It's still got a great score. It's the second time I've bought it, so it's doing something right, in my opinion, as well. I just sometimes don't really reach for it and maybe don't think about it, compared to maybe some of the other phrases, even to them as Ogivre, just has a little bit more going about it. I just think this could have had an extra green note. Might have done something, maybe a little bit of mint. And just would have maybe just taken it just a little bit more level, maybe from a top 4 football team to becoming champions. But that's how I see it. But yeah, very much interested to know what your thoughts are on this fragrance, if you've owned this one before. And yeah, please comment below, if you're going to buy it, or if you recommend any others from the Acqua di Parma Colonia. I've never had Intensa. My brother had it, but I don't remember it really being that memorable either, but it's had good reviews. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. But thank you very much for watching today. I'm going to go nick some more of his fragrances now because, yeah, my brother's at work, so I'm going to do another one of those videos. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.